sportswriter.com/the Sports Fix.
Hey guys, J-Rocc here from the Sports Fix, and we always talk about using our platform to try to help the world and the society we live in, and everywhere I go and everywhere we go, bullying is one of the problems in today's society. There's nothing worse than any person, big or small, strong or weak, adult or child, feeling picked on, pushed around, vulnerable, and victimized at the hands of a bully. Change comes one person at a time, and my good friends at No Such Thing as a Bully are working on skills and techniques and ways that we can all change and make things better for everyone. Find out more at nosuchthingasabully.com.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Here we go. Let's get this bad boy going. Welcome in, everybody. How you guys doing? It's a holiday weekend, wrap up the week kind of edition of the Sports Fix here. Man, I'm feeling good. So good today. We've got a lot of good things in the air, good mojo, juju going on. Some great basketball coming this weekend. Holiday weekend. Tribe's coming home, brother. Tribe's coming home off a 5-2 road trip, taking 3 out of 4 against all those lefties from the White Sox. Mike Brandenberry's joining me later on today, and I know he's sitting right now somewhere going, I know, Jerry, I know. He's going to try to hit me, yes, with all the positivity. I know what he's going to say, but I don't care. At least for the last 7 days, the Indians make me feel a little bit better, and that makes me feel good heading into this weekend with the Cavaliers. Tonight, got the next game in the Eastern Conference Finals. As I said, Mike Brandenberry is going to join us from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Jonathan Knight, sportswriter extraordinaire, is going to be here. Matter of fact, he'll be with us less than 15 minutes from now. We're going to rock and roll, talking all kinds of things, having some fun holiday weekend edition of the show. Man, I'm ready to rock and roll. Are you guys? Let's do the thing and pop the top on this edition of the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, all the things you call me, the conductor of the madness, whatever it is, call me. Happy to have you guys here every day. Today, no exception, across the network. Maybe you're listening on TuneIn, tunein.com, their radio, digital apps worldwide, every different platform. Perhaps you're listening on Spreaker and Mixler and their different mobile apps or their websites. So you're listening on our website, the home base, the mothership, if you will, thesportsfix.net. Make sure you bookmark that, by the way. If you haven't, it's really everything you need to access the show live, replays. It booms right there at noon on the air. You can talk to us on our social media right on the page and everything, thesportsfix.net. Welcome in as well. Thousands of you guys, phones already beginning to ring here. I haven't even given out the number. Thousands of you guys around the world listening on digital delay 24/7, and I mean that. iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, all the different places, CarPlay, the ways that you download and feed and subscribe and do those things to get your fix, baby. Thank you guys so much for doing it. I see the phones keep ringing. I'm going to get to them here. Just give me, as a matter of fact, I may just do that. I may just take a couple of calls here early on and then get Jonathan Knight in on the conversation. As we say all the time, phones are ringing. Be one of those calls. 216-539-7535. You are the voice of the Sports Fix. 216-539-7535. Facebook, Twitter, email, all the ways to do the thing. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, the Sports Fix at AOL.com. Again, Facebook, just search for the Sports Fix, or Facebook.com/the Sports Fix. Twitter, hit us up at the Sports Fix, CLE, and you can always email us, the Sports Fix at AOL.com. I'm J-Rocc. We're talking Cavs. We're talking I was going to go one direction, but instead, I'm going to send it to you. As I said, 216-539-7535. Phones are open. I'm J-Rocc. Who's this? Caller, you're first up on the fix.
Big Daddy. This is Big Bob from Bristol, Connecticut. And what did I tell you?
Bob.
I tell you several days ago,
How you doing?
We don't start playing ball until Memorial Day.
That's it. Well, there you go. Well, a week before they decided to start playing some ball, so hopefully that'll continue here into Memorial Day. But good things all around with the Cavs and the Tribe. I can hear it. You feeling spunky today, huh, Big Bob?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, like I told you guys the last few years, I'm almost close to switching over from my Knicks to the Cavs, but the Cavs weren't around when I was a little kid. But you guys are playing some good ball.
You got that
Cavs
right.
Are playing some beautiful, beautiful basketball. And I'll tell you, without a couple of key pieces, just excellent ball. I mean, LeBron is like, he's like taking over. You know, he's taking over things, and I like that. I like that.
You know what? That's a perfect setup because I didn't even get into this because I went right to your call. I did want to kick off the show talking about needing to take over things. That's going to be perhaps even more important. As we know, Atlanta, DeMarre Carroll, they've got their situation. Kyrie Irving did not shoot around this morning. Instead, spent the morning under the care of a doctor, continuing to work on his knee. The official word from the Cavaliers is there was no improvement, which you pretty much expect at this point.
Right.
But no improvement in his left knee. He is listed as questionable right now for tonight's Game 2. Very much up in the air whether or not Kyrie Irving will be playing tonight. So obviously, other Cavs will have to step up. Now, the difference to me with that and DeMarre Carroll is Carroll came out of nowhere, and that really makes the Hawks have to change on the fly. The Cavs have kind of been dealing with a 3/4 or a half-speed Kyrie Irving here for a couple of weeks now. So they're at least a little more adept to dealing without him, even though that is a huge, huge piece. As we've said, even 30-40% of Kyrie, better than what you're going to get from most people. The other day, still gave you 10 points, 6 assists, and did what he could, but he was a liability defensively. So I think even though both teams are dealing with it, the Cavs have dealt with Kyrie's injury for a couple of weeks here. So perhaps that lightens it a bit.
Yeah. You know something, though? It might behoove the Cavs at this time to just sit Kyrie down this second game.
That's something to think about. Look at the Clippers.
Absolutely. I mean, that first game was critical.
Yep.
Now you could sit them down and let them rest. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, let the other teammates carry the load. Let them push down there in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I think it can be done. Let him be a nice cheerleader. Let him be a nice cheerleader on the bench. And let him,
I'll tell you what.
Let him convalesce.
I know where you're coming from, and a lot of Cavs fans have talked about this, and we've talked about it before. Look at Chris Paul when he got hurt at the end of the San Antonio series. He had to miss early in the next round, you know? I mean, there's been instances of that before where sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward, especially if you look ahead to hopefully what is another round to come for the Cavs.
Right, without a doubt, Big Daddy, absolutely.
Think about it. You got a great contribution from J.R. Smith the other day. Shumpert has done his thing.
And Shumpert,
Dellavedova. Right, Delly's done his thing. Think about it, man. If those guys, if you're confident that they can do what they've done already tonight, then I would also agree with that. Go, let him sit completely. Give him a few. Although the flip side is it going to help? If the doctors tell me that a couple of extra days makes a difference, okay. But we did have the big gap between the second round and this round, and it didn't really improve him very much. So if the doctors say you're not going to get any better, then at that point, you know, you get what you can out of him and you just do the best you can. If the time off will help him, then I'm all for giving it to him. But sometimes the doctors will say, hey, it's not going to get better until you've got weeks to rest, you know, and really get it together. And if that's the case, then it doesn't matter. You just play him for half of a game, or you get a good 20, 22 minutes out of him and take it there. But I think that's the thing. If the doctors say yes, you give him some, 2, 3, 4 straight days off, you'll get where you're trying to get, then yeah, I would seriously consider that. Especially tonight is must win for the Hawks. I'm telling you, if the Hawks lose tonight, the Cavs will sweep this series in 4 games, because they are not coming to Cleveland when the Cavs smell blood in the water if they're down 2-0. And that's why tonight's important. They have to win tonight or it's over.
Absolutely.
Big Bob, anything else?
Yes, I'm going to get off the subject here just a little bit.
Yeah,
I just got the word the other day that our Browns are looking at a certain running back from the Ravens. I don't know if I'm speaking for our beautiful Cleveland Brown nation here, but I for one would not like it. I don't know how the other Cleveland Browns feel out there, but I wouldn't like it. I'm glad he's got the help. I'm glad he's got fixed, but I for one wouldn't like him on our squad. I don't know. That's a question you could put out there for the Sports Fix Nation and see what happens.
I'll tell you what, Big Bob. I know where you're going. Let's push that conversation off a little while because that's a whole different level. I'm talking Cavs and Tribe. I'm with you, and I know where you're going. We can talk about that in the future. But, Big Bob, anything else before I go? I'm up against it.
You got it, man. All right, brother.
All right, Big Bob, good call. Go Indians, go Cavs. We'll talk more about all of that. I'm up against it because Jonathan Knight is joining us here momentarily. I missed a few calls here, guys. Sit tight. If you didn't get through, leave your message on the hotline or hit us up a little bit later on. I got to get this first break out of the way. Jonathan Knight buzzing in momentarily. We're going to stay right where we're at. We're talking Cavs and Hawks. How about, by the way, the Rockets and the man? Talk about Kyrie gutting it out. Dwight Howard, give him some credit. He gutted it out last night. Shouldn't even have played, according to some people. Went out there and laid out a double-double. You know what? I've got time for one more quick call here before we go to the break. Good timing, just as I was getting ready to hit that music. Caller, you've got 1, maybe 2 minutes tops here on the Sports Fix. What's happening?
Hey, I did get through. This is Betty. How are you?
Hey, Betty. How you doing?
Oh, good. All I want to say is, wow, I see Irving's doubtful for tonight. Is that true?
Yeah, he's definitely up in the air. Yeah, didn't practice, didn't do the shoot-around, so we'll see. We were just talking about that right before with the previous caller, whether it may be better for the Cavs to just let him sit out a game or two here in the middle part of this series. So that's something to think about, but it's very much up in the air if Kyrie plays tonight.
Okay, well, I still think we can do it. I think it's going to be tough, but as long as we're consistent.
It's not easy. It's not easy if you got everybody to win a championship. Of course it's going to be tough, baby. Hell yeah.
It's going to be tough with it's going to be tough with Atlanta if Damari's playing. But we can do it. We got LeBron. I know he's going to play different positions, it looks like, and, the man of 100 ways of playing. But we can do it. I believe we'll win tonight, and we'll win the next 2 games. If not, we'll win in Game 5.
See, that's where I'm at. If the Cavaliers drop one tonight, Atlanta's going to throw. Their season, to me, is on the line tonight. They have to win to salvage a split here at home, because if they lose, the Cavs will sweep this thing in 4 games. I just believe that this is a mature Cavaliers team that knows if they're up 2-0 coming home, they're not going to let that slip away. They won't even waste a game. Betty, anything else before I let you go? I got to hit the break. JK's coming on.
Okay, gotcha. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
You got it. Great call, Betty. Everybody's fired up. More of you guys calling in. I can't take any more calls live. Sit tight. I'll get to it in a moment. Let's take a break. When we come back, Jonathan Knight, sports writer extraordinaire, in the house. We'll talk Cavs. We'll talk Tribe. All of that. Making a major league? Yeah, let's do it. When we come back, Jonathan Knight next on The Fix.
It's the wrecking machine. I ain't the worst that you see. Can't you see what I mean? Now, might as well jump. Go ahead and jump.
Get your fix.
'Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
What's your fantasy? Here we go, bring it on in. It's time now. It's all city. We got to do it for them, dog. We got to do it for Cleveland. They're waiting on us. Define what we're about. Let's get it going.
Every single night, every single practice, every single game, we got to give it all we got because they're going to ride with us. Everything that we do on this floor, because of this city, we owe them. We're going to grind for this city. They're going to support us, man, but we got to give it all back to them. We get it done. The toughness that we have on the court is going to come from this city. Everybody, the whole city of Cleveland. That's what it's all about. It's time to bring them something special. Let's go. Bring it on in, everybody. Let's go. Hard work on 3. Together on 6. 1, 2, 3. Hard work. 4, 5, 6. Together. 1, 2, 3. Hard work. 4, 5, 6. Together. It's all us. Cleveland on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody, this is Jerry the King Lawler from WWE, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
Definitely feeling good. It's a holiday weekend. It's beautiful outside. I tell you, I got the most ridiculous text message during the break. I won't even go into it, but it's just one of those days when you go, well, this is just going to be a fun weekend here coming up. Baseball, basketball, in the air. I mean, it's one of those days. I'm glad to have Jonathan Knight, my man, getting ready to join me. I like having some fun with JK on the show, man. Our conversations are fun, even when the sports talk is dreary. But when it's fun, then it goes to another level. You guys keep it going with us on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. Speaking of Jonathan Knight, makingamageurleague.com. We talked about it last week. I spoke to the publicity people. My copy heading this way and cannot wait. Should maybe this weekend get it in my hands and start checking it out and bringing it to you guys as well. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we're talking Cavs, Tribe, and more with my man Jonathan Knight, the sports writer extraordinaire, as I dub him. JK, how you doing, my man?
Jerry, I am doing well. Looking forward to discussing the series finale of Mad Men, as I have been all week. Oh, no, we're here to talk about the previous sports. Right.
You know, that's one of those series, and I'm sometimes late to the dance. I never got into Mad Men, and I'm willing to bet, just because of the people that do like it, that are similar thinking people to me, I'm willing to bet it's going to be one of those shows that when I do get to it on Netflix, I'll be like, man, why didn't I watch this when it was happening, you know? Because I'm one of those guys that don't watch it when it's live, but then I'll get it later and go, that was great.
Yeah, that's usually me. I'm usually the one who picks up a show right when it's ending. I was like that with Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Right as it's ending, I jump on that bandwagon. But I think in a way you're smarter to do it this way, because now you can, with Netflix or whatever, you can sort of binge watch and get through the thing in about a month, whereas the rest of us idiots spent 8 years delving through this thing. So, yeah, I think you may be onto something there.
I was that way with Breaking Bad. I didn't get to the end. I got it in the midway. The first 2 seasons, I think it was on season 3 when I got to it on Netflix. But I binge watched the first 3 seasons. I mean, every time you get off work, you got time, you're watching another episode. Hey, where can I pick up? Then when you catch up to real time and you're waiting a week,
it pisses you off. Yeah, because now you have to wait.
And then when they did that thing with the last season where they split it and they put like 18 months between the 2 parts of it.
Oh God, yeah. And you know what's funny is that we talk about binge watching. That's the future of television. That's where we're going to be. It's all going that way.
On demand.
5 years, 10 years, certainly we will. There won't be this. Okay, Thursday night we sit down at 8 o'clock and watch a show. It's going to be Thursday at noon. 14 episodes get dumped in your lap digitally, and then you can sit there and spend the next 2 days watching them if you want. I mean, it's amazing. It's hard for us, those of us who grew up watching the Cosby Show every week. It's difficult for us to imagine that reality, but it's cool in a way. It takes away that experience of that sort of communal experience of talking about it the next day at the water cooler and whatever. I mean, that's the way it's going, and hey, that's cool.
I'm already there with most shows on Hulu anyway, because Hulu puts the newest episodes of most of the shows up. So why wait till Thursday night at 9 o'clock? I'm usually watching a game or doing something with the family or something like that. Midnight, when everybody's in bed, I can watch that episode, or I can watch the last month's worth or whatever. And that's just, I've already gotten that way. And I mean, we do this show. It's on demand, And I mean, that is the future. A la carte programming, whether it's radio, video, that's the future. Like you said, being able to watch it. They'll find a way to get the commercials across to you and all that stuff, but you'll be able to watch it when you're free to watch it. It'll be no more TGIF.
The only thing that I know the only thing I watch live anymore is sports. I mean, sports is maybe an award show, the Oscars, something like that, but basically sports is the only thing you will sit down at a certain time and sit there and watch the commercials and endure the 2 or 3 hours that it lasts. That's it. I mean, it's basically sports is the only reason people are maintaining their cable subscriptions and having live TV,
That's exactly it. That's the new thing with advertising. Everybody knows sports is known as being DVR proof because it's the one genre of programming, where they can charge the super high advertising rates because people will have to watch it live. Nobody wants to watch the Super Bowl 4 hours later. Nobody's watching, maybe you'll watch a Tribe game later if you're busy because there's 162 of them, but you're not watching the playoff game on demand. You're watching that one live. So definitely. And we're watching them live. Perfect segue. We are watching them live. Game 1, Hawks and the Cavs. What did you think of that?
Surprised. I really did not think that the Cavs. There was a sense, honestly, I felt better about this series before everyone decided that the Cavs were the favorite. I was feeling good about this series, and then the day or two before it started, we started hearing all these predictions. Oh, the Cavs are going to win. The Cavs are going to. And there was this consensus that the Cavs were clearly the favorite, and that made me very nervous, and I did not like that. And so you're just setting this up for disaster. And they did not start well, which they're wont to do. I think the Cavs have been a bit of a slow starter in the playoffs. They haven't really jumped on anybody in the first quarter throughout these 3 series thus far. But for them to battle back, to stay close, and then just pull away, J.R. Smith leading the way, just stunning. I mean, that is what you get in the playoffs. I think for as much as people are saying, well, J.R. Smith isn't going to do that every night. Of course he's not going to do that every night. That's not the point. You don't get style points in the playoffs. You don't worry about trying to clone the way you won on Tuesday and win the exact same way on Thursday. It is not about that in the playoffs. It's about getting victories any way you can, and that's what the Cavs did. Which isn't to say that they lucked into it or they didn't deserve it. Defensively, they did everything right. Maybe a couple of lapses there in the last couple of minutes where they kind of allowed Atlanta to get back into it. But overall, as much as attention as J.R. Smith is getting for the night that he had, hats off to the Cavs to go into a hostile environment in a Game 1 for the first time in franchise history to win Game 1 on the road, which is incredible that had never happened before. Really says something that this team really is kind of breaking the template that we've come to expect of a Cavaliers team in the postseason.
I brought that same stat up. I did not realize it. And you know me, I'm the king of digging up these little stats like that. I didn't even know it until the game that they were 0-14 in franchise history in game ones on the road. They had never done that before. I knew LeBron was 0-8 because that one I had heard being bandied out a bit, but I did not even realize that the entire Cavs franchise history, they had never gone and done that. And I mean, man, it's the way, like you say, it's the way they do it. It's the different. That's the thing about this team. You would say it's the depth, whatever. For all the talk of Atlanta being the ultimate team, Atlanta is the scoring load is split all over the place. But to me, the Cavaliers in this playoffs are the ultimate team. They adapt for whoever's down. They pick up the slack for whoever's hurt, not performing, not able to do it. It's a different hero every night for the most part, including LeBron James, including Kyrie Irving. It's been Smith. It's been Shumpert. It's been Dellavedova. It's been Thompson. It's whatever you need. They adapt. They're like chameleons. They adapt to whatever needs to be done, especially defensively. I will go so far as to say I believe that these Cavs, without Kevin Love, are the best defensive Cavaliers squad I can recall ever seeing. When they are a championship defense, championship level defense when they put their mind to it.
Absolutely. That is absolutely the truth. And of all of the really good teams that the Cavs have had in the playoffs in their history, and as far as they have gone in the playoffs in a few of those years, easily, this is the best defensive team. And we're seeing that when you have a good defense, when you have at times a great defense, that makes up for a lot of holes that you may have offensively, or even in the roster itself. I mean, like you said, with Love being out, with Kyrie Irving essentially out. I mean, he played game one. It's iffy as to whether or not he'll play tonight. There are some big holes. I mean, if you'd have told us that at the beginning of the playoffs or at any point this season, that the Cavs are going to be going into the Eastern Conference Finals with two of the big three essentially completely out of the mix, we think dead meat. We think this team is done. And yet, primarily for that reason that you just said, defensively, that they're rising up. And we talked a little bit about it last week, that maybe that the best thing that could have happened to the Cavs was to face some adversity, to be forced to have other guys step up, whereas before they were just going to be sort of a passive type of role and just sort of be there to fill out the floor and fill out the bench. Now these guys have to step up, and maybe that's the best thing for them. I would, much as I would love to have a healthy Kyrie Irving and love to have Kevin Love out there, the Cavs are responding, and I think you could say that these last two games, game one of the Atlanta series and game 6 of the Chicago series, I don't think you'll get an argument from anybody that these were the two games the Cavs have played in the playoffs. I don't think there's much of an argument there. Both road games, both incredibly gritty defensive performances, and yet they were dinged up. Those should not have been the best two games that the Cavs have played, and yet they are. They seem to be rising up to the challenge before them.
I agree. JK, I was talking to my brother about this before the show, and I got to bring this up. You know, we love to find stories, and drama is all over the place in sports and in life. And the story with the Cavs and LeBron this year was coming home and all of that and this full circle. And I think the real story happened right underneath everybody's eyes. What's ironic, it's just an irony, I think. It's full circle. Think back to when LeBron left, you know, the end, and what was one of those quotes that was bandied about? Needing to find teammates that didn't die down and not having to do it himself and all of that. And then the narrative of the next 4 years and the big three in Miami and all that. And he comes back to Cleveland and all this, they trade for Kevin Love and you got another big three and you got all of this. And as you said, you know, it kind of slowly starts to whittle apart where the Cavs, look at it shows the maturity full circle of LeBron James, and I'm preaching to his choir right here because he's come full circle, and you could go back to before looking for who's going to step up. Now it's much different. It's leadership. It's taking what you got and convincing these guys that they're better than they are, and that there's some of them is better than they are. But here you come full circle, and you lose your left guy. You lose your right wing, takes a shot. You know what I mean? All your big guns are taking shots down, and even in Miami, that's the way it limped to an end. Wade was going down, and Bosch could only do so much, and there was only so much could fall on LeBron. And realistically, look at the way things played out. That, I think, is what is so amazing about this. As you go through a trade half your roster for Kevin Love, he's not even a part of this equation, you know. And Kyrie Irving, same. There's your Batman and Robin, and he is just a shell of himself, and it has nothing to do with effort. It's the injury, and it's just amazing, full circle, and the way this team come together, and the maturity. It just shows in LeBron, and it trickles down. But I mean, this team there's something happening here, brother.
Yeah, and if there is a saving grace or maybe a slight balancing effect to this, is that at this point in the playoffs, everybody's dinged up. Some more than others. Atlanta obviously has suffered their dings here in the last few days.
Except the Warriors.
Well. So it's
the
right.
Warriors
it's not
are not
just
hurt.
The Cavs. So it's right. It's not as if they're going against teams that are rested healthy at full strength. Nobody's at full strength. They say that about that's a cliche in sports, that by the time you get to the playoffs, nobody's genuinely healthy. Everybody is hurt to some extent. So there is that the Cavs have it bad, and they may have it worse than other teams, to be sure. But yeah, this is going to come down to who steps up. And to this point, certainly in the Chicago series and what we saw in Game 1, the Cavs have a whole cast of characters that each of them isn't going to step up every night, but you don't need that. You need one guy, two guys to step up each night. Tuesday night or Wednesday night, it was J.R. Smith, and tonight the stage is there for somebody else to step up.
And, J.K., we mentioned that defense. For people that say, well, Atlanta's not going to miss all their shots again, I say what I brought up yesterday. Boston, they shot 15% less from three-point when they played the Cavs in the first round. Chicago, nearly identical drop in their percentage as well. The Cavaliers did the same thing to Atlanta in Game 1. That is not a bad shooting night. At some point, you have to give credit to the reason that these teams are shooting way worse than they did in the regular season. You're talking about the top two three-point shooting teams in the East in Atlanta and Chicago, and the Cavaliers continued in Game 1 what they did to Chicago. But when every team you play is shooting significantly below their percentage, then they're not having bad offensive nights. Your defense is changing them, and I think that's what we saw with the Cavs. Do you agree with me? If Atlanta does not win tonight, I do believe the Cavs will sweep this series. I don't think they're coming to Cleveland and winning if they go down 0-2.
Yeah, that's hard to imagine. That's hard to imagine that the Cavs, maybe not a sweep. I mean, I think Atlanta, and it'll depend on how healthy people are. If Kyrie maybe doesn't play tonight, and if Kyrie doesn't play tonight and they win anyway,
it's over.
That's a body blow right there.
That's a backbreaker.
That's hard.
Right
that
there.
Is very hard. You've seen it in baseball occasionally. In some of those memorable World Series, you'll see a team lose the first two games at home and then come back and it turns into a good series. But basketball is something else. I mean, to lose the first two games at home, particularly the number one seed, and then have to go on the road, that's incredibly difficult. And again, it may not be a sweep necessarily, but yeah, the Cavs would absolutely be in the driver's seat. And that's why tonight's important. Tonight is when you really want, okay, you've got them down. You go for the jugular tonight if you can do it. I know there are strikes against you, and if Kyrie doesn't play, you kind of say, well, all right, we just kind of chalk this one up, take the split, and go back home. But, boy, yeah, I mean, like we said, the Hawks are dinged up as well. They've got to be wavering a little bit. I mean, their confidence has to be shaken just by losing Game 1. So the stage is set, but there's an opportunity for the Cavs to get a little greedy here. Going back to your previous point, though, that's a great point about the three-point shooting of Atlanta, and I have heard that Atlanta won't shoot as bad, or they had a bad night shooting, and that's why they lost. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do tick up a little bit, but that argument only works if Atlanta is missing wide-open threes and thinking, oh, well, that's just one of those nights. And that's clearly not what's happening. They're contested shots, and when your field goal percentage will go down, not necessarily because you're just having a bad night, because you're taking bad shots or you're not getting good looks. And to look at the flip side of that, I can remember making that argument the last time the Cavs were in the conference finals. If you remember when they played Orlando in 2009, Orlando shot the lights out, especially from three-point range. That was that series where the Cavs kept jumping out to big leads, and then Orlando would whittle away primarily by hitting three after three after three. And for weeks after that was over, I just bemoaned it that, oh, God, Orlando just got hot for 2 weeks, and they didn't shoot that well all year. They didn't shoot that well in the finals. The Cavs just caught a bad break before it finally dawned on me. No, it was because the Cavs weren't playing good defense. They didn't have the guys that could match up with these big shooters outside, and that's why they lost. It wasn't that Orlando got hot. Teams don't get hot over the course of a series. Maybe in a game, you'll see somebody, a couple of guys start hitting shots that they did. Like J.R. Smith, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to shoot 67% from threes for the entire series. As much as I would love to see that happen. That's why. So there's the flip side of that. If you look back to that Orlando series, that's a case where the defense wasn't good enough, and a team shot better than they normally did because the defense wasn't good enough. So that's encouraging to focus on that, and hopefully that can atone for the bumps and bruises and knees and feet that are plaguing the Cavs elsewhere.
Absolutely. Jonathan Knight, sports writer extraordinaire. Feeling good. Cavaliers this weekend, actually, since we're going to be a weekend edition, it'll be games 2 and 3 here by the time we get back. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Hey, I got to switch over for a second because we had to suffer through some bad times here. The last 7 days have been relatively nice for the Cleveland Indians. They went on a 7-game road trip, and they took 5 out of 7, including 3 out of 4 against the White Sox. Not only against the White Sox, but they threw 4 consecutive left-handed starters at the Indians. And when you look at what the Indians threw back as far as the starters, the 4-game run that the Indian starters had, Salazar wrapped it up, Markham, the first 2 games, the way Kluber started the thing, and then Bauer, they were lights out. I think the starting rotation may have had, about a 1.2 ERA in that series. They were just sparkling. And I'm curious, what do you feel about that? I know it started with Texas, and that's not the greatest team, and Chicago's a 500 team too, but you got to start somewhere, and at least you got to feel good about the Indians heading home for this Red Series.
Yeah, you do. And this is what we expected. This is what, if this team was going to be good, this was how they were going to be good. They were going to depend on their pitching, primarily their starting pitching, and it may not necessarily be the characters that we thought was going to be leading the way. It was nice. It's nice. I think what was really nice and maybe the most encouraging was actually the game that they lost. As difficult as it was to watch Corey Kluber go out there with another just robotic performance and just shut them down and strike out 12 in 9 innings and absolutely deserved to win that game, but didn't. It was great to see him have a start like that after the previous start that he had, which was also monstrous. So that was incredibly encouraging. The Indians did not wind up winning the game, blew it as they've been wont to do this season. But for Kluber's sake, I think that was good. For him to put 2 starts like that back to back kind of can tell us, okay, he's going to be okay. He's not going to be that good every start from here on out, but he is. You just feel like, he's turned a corner. He's going to be okay. From here on, we're going to have the Kluber, or at least close to the Kluber that we expected, and that is what they need. The Indians. What the problem in these first 6 weeks is when they did not really have a guy that you could trot out there and stop a streak or get a win when you really needed a win. And that's what Kluber can be. And what's nice is that Bauer has sort of become that guy too. We've seen even Carrasco. Everybody's kind of stepped up and been able to be that guy occasionally. Kluber looks like he may have leveled off. Bauer's been the most consistent. So if this can keep up, I think this is a huge week for the Indians to go take 5 out of 7. And kind of right their ship and bring some momentum. Now we're getting into Memorial Day. Now you're at that point where you're at the quarter pole of the season. This is when the season starts to take the shape of what you're going to see. Over these next 6 weeks, this is what's going to define what kind of season the Indians are going to have. The early start has been rough, and it may ultimately doom them. This may have been too deep a hole for them to dig out of in terms of contending for the division. But I think over these next 6 weeks, this is going to tell us, okay, this is what the Indians are. We're getting Gomes back. They're going to be basically as healthy as you could ask for. And we're going to see, okay, this is what we expected from 2015. So there's a key series to kick this off. I think Cincinnati comes in struggling as well. So the Indians, if they can take 2 out of 3 here, win a 3rd straight series, which, my God, a week ago we were thinking, are the Indians ever going to win another series? They hadn't even won back-to-back games in over a month. So it's a big weekend, and going into, a nice homestand, and then we're into June, and the weather will warm up, and we'll see what happens from there. But, yeah, I feel much, much better today than a week ago. Absolutely.
For sure. And you've got, Cincinnati, you say struggling. They've lost 5 straight coming into this. And then you come out of Cincinnati with Texas, who got you going here at the beginning of this. So, I'm with you. If nothing else, we talked about getting to June back around 500, and they're in a position to be right around there, depending on how well they do this. And Gomes could be playing as soon as the end of this weekend here. I mean, I'm hearing things as soon as Sunday, perhaps. He could be back out here. I mean, at worst, by the end of this Red Series, you get Yan Gomes back here. You're starting to play a little bit better there. I'm with you. And the other thing, real quick, you talked about the front half of the rotation and how great it was with Kluber. I'm with it. Finally, I think, and I know it's one start, but it's also one good 5-inning relief stint and 2 years of building to this point. I believe Sean Markham may be able to fill that Gavin Floyd role that you have not been able to fill since he went down. Very encouraging early results from him, and I'm interested to see what he does. The Tribe obviously knew they had to give him another start because they sent House down because somebody was going to claim Markham after that start that he had. There was no way you could expose him to waivers, so he's going to get another chance to solidify that. But I think if he gives you another quality start, that may lock him into that spot, at least until something negative would happen later in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, you hope that House is able to come back and turn it around.
Yes,
and at least if Markham can't, then House can fill that kind of number 5 hole. Because House pitched last night and looked pretty good. I think with 5 shutout innings. So that's encouraging. He's a guy that, I think I don't know if he overachieved last year, but he certainly achieved more than I thought he would. I think he even early in the season, he just kind of seemed to hit that glass ceiling of, well, he can give you maybe 5 decent innings, and then you got to get to the bullpen and try and muddle your way through the last 4+. But as the season wore on, he did kind of stretch himself and thought, well, maybe we got a guy here. But really, for now, we'll take that. If you can give us 5 strong innings, we'll take that right now. With as rough as things have been going in the first 40 games here, we'll take whatever we can get. So hopefully one of those 2 guys. And here again, we're talking about this all through the spring. The Indians do have that depth, that if this guy doesn't work out well, then we can try this guy. And it's been tested, to be sure, with injury and guys falling apart and not performing the way that they should. But that depth has been stretched thin, but it is still there. The Indians still do have guys in the arsenal that may not be ready yet, but at least you can trot them up and see what we can do. So we're going to see that. We're going to see hopefully one of those guys will fill in, and I like that core of the other 4. I think between Salazar, Carrasco, Bauer, and Kluber, I feel like they're all pitching well. They've all kind of been through a little rough patch, except for Bauer. He's been pretty golden throughout. But the other 3 have sort of been through a little rough patch and seem to have come through it. And we could be on the brink of a couple really good weeks of 4 or 5 pitchers, at least 4 pitchers, sort of in their stride at the same time. And that's the stuff that winning streaks are made of. So stay tuned. This could be a fun couple of weeks.
Winning streaks, they're on one of those now. First time all season, if you could believe that. 3 in a row, baby. Yes. Speaking of the famous line that has happened before, it's called a winning streak. I mentioned as I brought you on, I am so excited. I talked to Jane earlier in the week, and she's like, you got it. As soon as they come out, it's coming your way, and I cannot wait to get my hands on Making a Major League, and, of course, the website, makingamajorleague.com, but I know you're excited here. Are you getting some good buzz? Is there a lot of good feedback going on around the early pre-release of this?
There is, and it's really refreshing. I was actually talking to someone this morning about it. It's really refreshing for me because we've been working on it for so long, and it's been a great experience and been fun. It's never really work, but you work with it every single day, and you're so entrenched in tunnel vision about it that you kind of lose some enthusiasm, you lose some excitement. And so now that we're basically about a week away from this thing actually coming out, and the word is starting to spread, and we've got advanced copies, and people starting to get a buzz and telling me about it and starting to post things about it, and that's starting to energize me. Like, oh yeah, this is what this is about. This is fun. People are really excited about it because it's fresh to them and it's new, and that's really great. I mean, that was the point of the whole thing. And so that's really gratifying to hear that excitement from you and from others, and hopefully it'll carry over. I mean, from the sound of it, people are liking what they're seeing so far, and so we'll know more in the next week or two that this could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Speaking of fun, let's let some people in on some fun. Next week when we talk, how about, man, I want to put a condition on it. If the Indians have a winning homestand, but you know what? We're going to give it away anyway. Let's give a copy away next week when we have you on, man. But, even if they don't. But let's say if the Indians have a winning homestand, but either way, we're going to give one away. How's that sound?
That sounds good. And you can twist it either way. You can either do it to say we're celebrating an Indians a successful Indians homestand, or you know what? No matter what the Indians do, you can always turn to Major League.
There's always Major League.
For the last 25 years.
Whenever the Indians have a bad day, you can always pop in Major League, and things are turning around.
If the Indians win, celebrate by watching Major League. If the Indians lose, drown your sorrows by watching Major League.
I love it. Speaking of, Mike Brandenberry's listening right now, not because of the Major League stuff, but he's pulling his hair out because he knows by our little Indians chat there that I'm going to be positive when I bring him on after this break, and he we've been. Hey, I get it, because it's his job to come back and go, no, let me just remind you that, yes, at some point they're going to go on a winning streak, but they still have problems. I know they do. I just want to spend this holiday weekend basking in the warmth of 5 out of 7 and this homestand here. I actually do think it's going to be a good weekend. Should be some good crowds, man. The Reds is always a good thing. Fans feeling good. They're going to be happy about the Cavs. It's so good this weekend, people don't even pay attention. Minicamp next week, big deal. Let me know when training camp comes around. You know what I mean? Let me know when the real stuff comes around.
That's funny, yeah. And Sunday especially. I think Sunday's going to be a lot of fun with the Indians and the Cavs both in town. I think that's going to be fun. That'll be the place to be.
Yeah, down at the corner, literally at the corner there, and it's going to be jumping there, man. Should be a lot of fun. JK, man, I don't even know where we're going to be by the time you and I talk next week. The Cavs could be out of this thing, good or bad, or they could be deep at the end of a series. Who knows by the time we talk next week? And the Tribe will be heading back on the road. Actually, we'll be wrapping up this homestand, so we'll see how they do with the Reds and the Rangers.
Yeah, it'll be a different world next week. That's how I feel like that's how it goes when you get into the NBA playoffs and baseball playoffs. Like 1 week you're on top of the world, the next week you're or vice versa. I mean, there can be any number of scenarios. It changes so fast.
And the Tribe's got to warm up now for the other reason that we've all been quietly dreading is when this run ends for the Cavs, even if it ends in a parade, the day after the parade, I would love to have some enjoyable baseball to talk about. You know, we got to, and I think they'll get there. I do. I mean, they're going to come back to the middle. It's just a matter of how further past that they'll get. You know, I mean, clearly they're not a 100-loss team, but can they be an 85-90 win team? Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah, Mike's right. There absolutely are problems. The Indians will turn it around. I think they're definitely a better team than what they've shown here in these first 6 weeks. Do I think they're a World Series team the way Sports Illustrated thought they were? No. I mean, was that possible? Sure, why not? But yeah, there are still issues that even if everybody kind of rights the ship and has turned the corner the way we think, there are still problems. But that's not to say this can't be an enjoyable season or the Indians can't turn around and contend in the second half. So that's why they play the games, Jerry, as you know.
Absolutely, and there's a lot more games to play. Jonathan Knight, my man, as always, what a great conversation. It is always better when we've got some fun things to talk about, though, you know?
It is, isn't it? It's strange how that correlates.
Amazing, man. Amazing how much better it is. JK, have a great week. I know you got a busy week with the book coming out and all that. We'll talk some more about it next week.
You bet, buddy. Looking forward to it.
You got it. Have some fun, my man, Jonathan Knight. You guys can always tweet with JK at JKnightWriter, WRITER, and that's JKnight, KNIGHT. And the website is makingofmajorleague.com. Make sure you go check it out. You can read a few preview chapters and all of that as well. Next week, we're giving away a copy right here on the air. Jonathan Knight's excellent book on the making of Major League. Indians fans, one of their favorite movies. Let's take a break, get you the news, and get Mike Brandenberry in. Of course, JK also writes for DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Let's get his boss on the phone, Mike Brandenberry, so he can join me and say, all right, Jerry, let's get back to reality, and I'm with it. Let's have some fun. I'm just kidding. Hey, man, Mike wants the Indians to win 20 games in a row, too. He's just a little more grounded than I am sometimes. But I don't care. I'm feeling good. And I'm not going to let him come put a wet blanket on it. But we will talk some Tribe and some Cavs. As he says, got the hotel on the parade route already. We'll talk Cavs, Hawks, Indians, and more with Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. Yes, they did 3 days in a row. We'll get there after the news. Coming up next.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Intelligent talk.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
These guys must be on the wrong station.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!
The Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper cars, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history? In-depth, personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book. Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. They trailed by 7 with only 1:20 left, but the Rockets cut it to just 1 and had the ball in James Harden's hands in the final seconds. He could not get a shot off, and Golden State won it 99-98 to take a 2-game-to-none lead in the NBA Western Finals. Harden was double-teamed by Klay Thompson and Steph Curry.
You saw James kind of put his head down. You knew he probably wasn't going to pass in that situation. So just to kind of stand him up before the three-point line, Klay funneled him right to me, and I was able to get a body on him. He threw it away to Dwight and threw it right back. And at that point, it's just don't let him get a shot off.
Harden scored 38 points. Game 3 tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday on ESPN TV, 8 o'clock on ESPN Radio. Cavaliers guard Kyrie Irving is skipping this morning's shoot-around to undergo further tests on his sprained left knee. Cleveland, who won Game 1, will visit Atlanta tonight in Game 2 Eastern Finals, 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN Radio. Frederick Anderson stopped 27 of 28 shots last night in Anaheim's 2-1 win in Chicago to take a 2-1 game lead in the Stanley Cup Western Finals. Second round of the Crowne Plaza Invitational. Masters champ Jordan Spieth, the leader at 7 under through 5 holes.
Sports Center is brought to you by Lowe's, the place to save big this weekend. Hurry in now for big Memorial Day savings on everything you need to kick summer off right. Don't miss out on summer's best savings at Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. J-Rocc back with you here as we get rolling back with the show. Going to head into hour 2. I'm about 5 minutes ahead of myself, but we'll just pretend that we're into hour 2. Mike Brandenberry from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com getting ready to join us next. Thanks to Jonathan Knight, sportswriter extraordinaire, for joining us. As always, a great Friday conversation with him. Again, that website, makingofmajorleague.com. Make sure you guys go check it out. Get a few preview chapters in, because next week somebody's winning a copy of that awesome thing right here on the Sports Fix. We're going to get back to, speaking of awesome, the Sports Fix, baby. All right, let's do the thing. Mike Brandenberry's on the phones, which means if you want to talk to us, you got to do it on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sportsfix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Facebook.com/the Sportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sportsfix CLE. Email us, the Sportsfix@AOL.com. I'm going to the phones where my man Mike Brandenberry, the boss man over at DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com, he's waiting for me. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was laughing in your last segment. 2 things I found hilarious. One, when you said that I was going to tell you to calm down, because that's true. And then 2, when you have now twice said that I am Jonathan's boss, because my wife would tell you I'm not qualified to be anyone's boss. I don't think that's my title. I'm not sure what the other writers would necessarily say my title is, but boss I don't think is it. So that's funny stuff for me.
Let me just say this. I'm going to defend myself by saying your Twitter handle is at DidTribeWin, which is the Twitter handle attached to the website. So as far as I'm concerned, you're the big boss man. That's all there is to it. My Twitter handle is the Sports
I will
Fix.
say I am the guy that when people don't like what is on the website, I am the guy
it's you.
So I don't know what that comes out to in a title, but I am the person that people complain to, yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. Head chief cook and bottle washer. You know how it is, man. Hey, how you doing? Are you feeling good? Holiday weekend, man. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Indians are winning. Cavs are winning, man. There's big games this weekend. How you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I mean, there's good reason to be excited. Like I was listening to you and JK. I mean, this is a big weekend. I don't want to make more out of it or less out of it than what it should. But you know, this is one of those weekends that could be the springboard for the town to another fun month of June, or it could be the slip off the trampoline and the tragic broken ankle that nobody ever wants either. So it's a big weekend, and when you're playing big games that matter and there's things happening, I mean, that's fun. That's what sports are all about.
Absolutely. So which big game, which direction do you want to go first? You want to go to the hardwood, or you want to talk some Tribe? We'll go either way because we're going to do them both.
Well, you just talked Tribe with JK, so let's go Cavs, and then we'll circle back to
the Cavs, man. Here we go. Game 2. I mean, you heard us talking about it since you were listening. I really will be bold. I thought the Cavs were going to win this thing in 5 at the beginning of the series. I believe that if the Hawks do not win tonight, then they can just cast this thing. First off, just by percentages alone, teams that start off 0-2 in a 7-game conference finals, 94% becomes the Cavs' win percent at that point. But I just don't think the Hawks can even get off the mat here in Cleveland. I think now if they win tonight, we've got a series, and we come back to Cleveland, and they're going to have some fight. But I just believe that the gut punch of losing both at home and the injury, even if Carroll's going to come back at some point, I don't think they get off the mat coming back to Cleveland.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I almost texted you the other day so I could have my call my shot, before the series. But I'm playing it in the middle like everyone else in the world, and I have Cavs in 6, so I don't really feel like I'm shocking the world with any kind of prediction here. But I'll be honest with you, Jerry. I was kind of surprised to see him win Game 1, and I think I'm in the minority of that. I was in my car heading to a local watering hole to watch the game the other night, and every station that I turned my radio to, everybody's acting like this is a foregone conclusion and it's just going to be a layup line to the finals. And I don't necessarily feel that way. I do feel that the Hawks have already played their best ball of the year, and they peaked long ago. And
you said that back in March, April, you and I were talking, and that was already what was being talked about, was back there. That first 2/3 of the season, they were on fire, you know?
Yes, yeah. If, in some weird ways, it would have been great for the Cavs if they would have started the playoffs in March, because that's when the Cavs were really playing their best and had everyone healthy and ready to go. But the Hawks would have started the playoffs in January or February, and they would have already concluded their parade, because they were the team to beat then. But I think they've played their best ball, and in some weird ways, I know we talked about it last week, this Cavs team is kind of like reinventing itself for like the fourth time this year. And I don't want to say it's the best version, because I'm not sure that it is, but it's a version that is good enough to win today. And I just feel like, that's what they're doing. They just figure out a way to win today and then pick up the pieces and move on to tomorrow when it happens. And I agree with you. I mean, if the Cavs win today, I can't possibly see Atlanta getting 4 out of 5, not to mention that 3 of those would still be at the Q. So I think this is definitely a must-win game for them, and I was mildly surprised to see the Cavs win the other night. I just kind of thought, the Hawks have been waiting for this, and it's kind of been on their calendar, I think, probably since January, and that this was the opener of the series that they've been waiting for. And I really felt like no matter what the scoreboard said, after the first quarter, or even I don't know, after maybe the first 8 minutes of the game, the Cavs just outplayed them from start to finish. And I mean, they definitely won the last 3 quarters and maybe a little bit more. And there's part of me that wonders if the gas tank is empty for Atlanta, or if they don't have a last stand in them tonight. I mean, they've got to know they're fighting for their lives if they don't have a last stand tonight, and if the Cavs come home up 2-0. Yeah, I think those Cavs in 6 predictions can start getting reined back into Cavs in 5 or Cavs in 4 pretty quick.
Absolutely. And you said something in there that I just want to go back to, because it's true. When you talk about going through playoff runs and having playoff experience, one of the things that comes out of that, and I think it's what LeBron learned in the 4 years that he spent with the Miami Heat, is exactly what you said about figuring out that the key is not being the best team 1 through 13. It's not playing the perfect game every night and winning the perfect series. It's just figuring out the most important thing in the playoffs is that game, that night. Whatever you have to do to win this one, that's all that matters. And then you get to the next one and you just do whatever you have to do to win that one. Compartmentalizing everything is what I think I see the most out of these Cavs. And no matter what's wrong, I think that's how they survived mentally. Losing Kevin Love and Kyrie being injured is, if you look at the big picture, you're going to freak out like the fans do, like anybody would tend to do if you go, oh man, we've got to win 17 more games without, Kevin Love, or without this guy, or without that guy. We've got to do this. Instead, they go, no, we just got to win tomorrow. We just have to figure out how to win tomorrow. And then we'll see where we're at, and we'll figure out how to win on Friday. And that is one of the biggest things that we're seeing, that ability to compartmentalize and just win one game at a time, one tip-off at a time, one loose ball at a time. Just focus on now.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I completely agree with. To me, that's one of the biggest changes you see in LeBron, and I thought it was unfair earlier in the year, and I think it's easy to see now. People that got upset by his comment of something like being in chill mode or something, I think people read that totally the wrong way at that moment, and always have since, like that he somehow wasn't trying. I don't think LeBron has ever not tried. But I do think that he knows and has learned as he has matured. There are different gears of an NBA season, and you cannot go full throttle for 100 games and have anything left for that 100th game for the NBA Finals. And I think, LeBron has done a great job of pacing himself. He's certainly not in chill mode right now, by the way. And I think, I have friends that tell me all the time, LeBron's got that game in him. He's got that game where, he's still got that game. He's going to go for 45 and put them on their back. And I'm like, he's putting them on their back every night. I don't know what you're talking about. The guy's averaging, almost a triple-double in the playoffs. I mean, he's got him on his back. I mean, I look at what he did in Game 6 against Chicago. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, I thought, gave him a great compliment after the game, and he said, something to the effect of it. It might look like LeBron didn't do a lot on the stat sheet and everybody else did the work, but there's a reason why all those guys were open. It's because LeBron got them open. It's because he makes things happen, and I thought he did a lot of that the other night. I mean, I heard someone say that the San Antonio playbook for LeBron is to sag the middle and don't let him get to the basket and force him to take outside shots. Well, I thought Atlanta executed that game plan the other night pretty well. The only problem is, you can't play the middle on LeBron and then play the perimeter on everybody else. And JR killed them for it. And at a certain point, they're going to have to make a choice. I mean, if the Cavs continue to shoot well and LeBron can keep feeding JR and Shumpert, and hopefully Kyrie's able to go, if you can feed those guys, at a certain point, Atlanta's going to have to make a decision probably tonight. Do we expand our defense? Do we go out to the perimeter and start to contest those shots? And if they do, especially considering their own injury problems, who's stopping LeBron from running down the middle of the lane then? I mean,
not Kyle Korver. Not Kyle Korver. That's for sure, as we saw the other day. It will
not be Kyle Korver that will stop him.
I know that
he may give him direction to the hoop.
John McMullen said yesterday, we were joking about that. He goes, well, that's not Korver. Of course it's not. He wasn't supposed to be there. But when you clip out that 15-second, not even 10 seconds there, where he sees what's happening and goes to the left and shimmies himself right out of the way. It's an awesome little, those are the clips that Vine was made for, was the clip right there of here comes LeBron. Korver looks up and says, no, I won't be standing in the way of this one, man. And he gets out of the way. That one was pretty funny there. But I'm with you, man. Again, that's the thing. When you have the depth that the Cavaliers have. Hey, if J.R. Smith if you're going to go to focus on him now, Shumpert is not afraid to shoot the ball, or Delly, as we've seen. Everybody has their night. I say it's like a chameleon style. It's whatever has to be done. If tonight, like we say, whatever we got to do to win tonight. If this is where we're going there. If this is the way it's going, and then the key is you cut everybody else off, and then there's LeBron. You can't do everything. You're either going to focus on LeBron and you're going to get beat by one of the other guys, or you focus on them and then you have to deal with somebody one-on-one on LeBron. Either way, you're going to lose. The only way you win is those nights where not only is LeBron having an off night, but so is everybody else, and that's what makes the Cavs a tough out.
Yeah, I agree. And right now, somebody or somebody's is hot every night.
Every night.
You're right. And I think it stays that way. I mean, there's no matter, we've talked about this before. I mean, people that don't believe in momentum, I don't know why people don't believe in momentum, or they confuse the two. Maybe we call it momentum when really it's confidence. But I mean, the Cavs are playing with momentum, but they're playing with confidence, and they show up to the arena. I mean, I don't think they're showing up hoping to win. I think they're showing up expecting to win, and that's how key players emerge, or new players emerge every night, because I don't think anybody's looking to LeBron for that 40 or 50 point game. They're just saying, hey, if I'm open, I'll take the shot. I'm not scared, I mean, JR, he's not afraid of a shot, that's for sure. So, if you give him the ball, it's going to go up.
Absolutely, and we just keep pointing out the reasons. And the biggest one to me that you say confidence, it's confidence because of the defense they can play. It doesn't even matter. See, I don't think the Cavs look, they do, J.R. Smith, obviously, guys get unconscious with their shots, but I think the confidence comes that the Cavs know that when they're struggling, when they're losing, when they're not making their shots, they always can come back to normal when they stop and start playing defense. And that's usually what they say in those timeouts. When they have the ability, that's what you can control. You can't control when your shots are going in or out and all of that. I mean, you can only put them up and hope for the best. But defensively, you can control every aspect of that. That's what they do to beat every team that they play, and that's the thing. That's you heard JK and I put it down. I want anybody to show me another Cavs team. You can show me some more efficient offensive teams. You can show me some better individual players, obviously LeBron being the exception, from some of the good Cavs teams. But I don't think you could show me a better Cavs team defense. This is that true championship style. Now, whether it wins or not, I don't know. But it's a defense that can win a championship.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like I said, I feel like this team is kind of like rebirthed itself like 4 different times this year, and this team with Tristan playing a major role, they are a very strong defensive team, and like you said, I mean, you can't always help if a shot can go in, but you can go a long ways to keeping the opponent from letting theirs go in, and they have played, I really think, pretty darn good defense. I would say back to the end of Game 3 is the last time where I think things kind of went sideways, and I don't think it's an accident that that's the last game that they lost.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Mike Brandenberry joining us, didthetribewinlasttnight.com. We're talking Cavs hoops. I know, a little bit weird there, but welcome in those of you joining us here into hour 2 of the show. And, man, I'll tell you what, real quick, I don't know, before we switch over to baseball, did you get a chance to catch any of the Western games, man? Now 2 in the books. Last night, you gotta give the Rockets some credit, man. That team is not just going to get rolled over. I don't know if they'll figure out a way to win a game in Golden State, but I'll tell you, they can definitely win in Houston. This series is not going to be just a 4-game rollover. They almost took that last night. I got to give Dwight Howard some credit. This cat shouldn't even have been playing according to most people. He goes out there and has a double-double and really played 40-plus minutes. And big guys, when they have injury issues, I really kind of have a soft spot for guys like that suck it up, especially because today so many guys are worried more about themselves than the team. But still, man, Golden State, that team, they're playing a great opponent. Houston is a great team, and, man, Golden State is just a step ahead of them.
Yeah, I was probably in a major minority before the playoffs ever began. I said that I like the Cavs and the Rockets to meet in the finals, and the Rockets are really kind of at this point constructed similar to the Cavs in that, I mean, they defend very well and they shoot it from the outside, and I thought that they could defend Golden State, and I actually think they've done a pretty decent job. I mean, when you look at it and they're down 0-2, that doesn't really tell the story because I think they're about 4 possessions maybe from being up 2-0 instead. And so, I think that really more than anything explains, 1, how evenly matched those 2 teams are, and 2, literally how important every possession is, especially in the last 4 or 5 minutes of games, because, I mean, a mistake here, a turnover there is the difference between being up 2-0 or being down 0-2. And I think that's part of why I scoff when I hear people act like, well, the Cavs got one in Atlanta, so Game 2 doesn't really matter too much. I'm like, whoa. We only get 7 of these, and you got to win 4, and everything matters.
Yes.
There are no freebies. We're not playing with house money tonight. This is not a wild card game in my mind. You play each one, and you play them to the end, and every possession counts, and you try to get a win. Every night that you go out, there's no freebies because one bounce of the ball the wrong way, and game 3 or 4 can go against you, and then you're not playing with house money at all. Then you're running back uphill.
Ask the Clippers if those games matter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Game 5 didn't matter because they were coming back home for games. That's what everybody said after Game 5. And I could feel that. You're up 3-1. Okay, you lose one, we're coming back home. Game 5 didn't matter. Then Game 6 all of a sudden mattered a whole lot more than Game 5. Now Game 7 matters a whole lot more. You know what I mean? So very quickly, you can be up. Hey, man. I think Indians fans know that we've seen even worse than that. You know what I mean? You've seen teams on the verge of being out and storm all the way back in historic ways. You close the door when you have a chance to close that door, you know?
Absolutely. And that's why, I mean, for as well as the Cavs have played, I mean, if you follow this season from start to finish, there's been a million, peaks and valleys in this season, and right now it feels like they're on a peak. Stay on that peak as long as you can, and always be looking for the next valley, because until the season's over, anything can happen. So I'm not interested in giving games away or resting guys. I heard one conversation yesterday. Well, after game 1, should they just rest Kyrie till the finals? I'm like, are you kidding? Are you listening to yourself? Like, you won one game. It was a good win, but you know who else won one game and a good win? The Bulls, and they're at home. Let's not start bagging this series before we've even thrown the jump ball for game 2. They all count.
I hear you, my man. Let's segue over while we're and I agree with everything that you just said. You know what? That's funny because I mentioned earlier about Kyrie. Now, if the doctors told me that, taking 2 days off, taking 4 days off, it makes a significant difference, then you think about it, But if it's going to be the same as it was, you didn't get any better from 2 days ago until now, etc., then at that point you take what you can get and you play through it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, he had 8 days off between Boston series and Chicago, and he had 6 days off between Chicago and Atlanta. And I mean, he's not getting any better. And if the doctors say that he's not going to do any more harm, then I mean, it's not my knees. I guess I don't know what pain, what his pain threshold is. But I mean, I heard David Blatt this morning say, if he tells me he can go, then he can go. And I would have the same mentality. If they said, well, 2 more days and this would make a big difference, I'd say then sit him for a game. But I guess, again, I'm not inside his knees or his ankles, but at this point, I think what you have is what you're going to get. Unless he gets, a month or 6 weeks of rest, and that's not coming until after the parade.
My man, I'm with the parade. There goes the parade again. Let's see. Let's see what
My
happens
reservations
here
are still good. I've got them booked downtown.
I know.
Right where games 6 and 7 and the day afterward will be. So parade route's still good.
All right, let's switch over. Talk about peaks and valleys. Tribe, perfect timing. Happened to be hitting a peak. It's not that hard when you haven't won back-to-back games for a while. You got 3 in a row. It's called a peak in the road here. And as you said last week, of course they're going to come back to the median here, especially as the schedule softens up. But what are your thoughts here since we've talked? It's been a good week for the Tribe. Texas is what it is. Chicago's a little bit tougher. I'm kind of stoked that they really could have swept that series with 4 left-handed starters out there.
Yeah, in a season of valleys, it's not too difficult to peak. But I agree with you. I mean, I've said this all year. I've certainly been very critical of this team and will continue to be. But this team is not as bad as their record has been. They have dug themselves what I think will be a hole that they'll probably never get out of. But they have played well, and if they're going to get out of the hole, I mean, it has to start somewhere, and this week could be the start, like you said. I mean, the kind of separating yourself as a bad team from bad teams is you got to beat those teams, and that's what they've done this week, and beating Texas and beating Chicago. And the thing is, like I said last week, personally, I don't think a 22 out of 27, win streak is coming their way, but the only way you get to a 22 out of 27 is if, you start with a 5 out of 7, which is what they've done. And you come home, for the Reds, which is another team that's kind of struggling. I kind of feel like if you can look into the crystal ball, the Reds are going to try and keep their roster afloat and pretend to contend until the day the All-Star game is over. And once all the pomp and circumstance leaves the Ohio River, I think there'll be a fire sale that'll go up quite quickly, too, and they're going to blow that roster up. But in the meantime, I think they're going to continue to dawdle in mediocrity, and then you have the Rangers again on the other side of that for the homestand. And so, I mean, the Indians haven't played very well at home to begin the season, and here's a nice little stretch where, I mean, they should be able to beat these. If you're not a bad team, you should be able to beat these two teams, and they're playing well, and they're coming home, and you have to win at home, and in order to, again, to not be a bad team, you have to win at home. So, like I said, to put together one of those, long stretches of good baseball, a good winning streak, it's got to start somewhere. So, I mean, they started this week, but I mean, this week coming up, the next 6-7 games is a stretch that they really need to keep that going. I don't think they're in a situation right now where they're 6 games under 500 where they can afford to, go 3-3 or 3-4 in their next, 6 or 7. They've got to string them together now, and one streak of 5 out of 7's got to turn into another streak of 10 out of 14.
Yep. That's exactly it. And this weekend, we talk about the social, the fun aspect of it. And the memories of having fun go a long way towards wanting to do something again. A day like Sunday, beautiful weather, an interstate rivalry, the Cavs, the Tribe, same time. If you're on a little bit of a winning streak, you got fireworks and jerseys and Memorial Day on Monday, that could be the trigger of getting some fans coming down and having a nice warm start to the month of June, a softer spot in the schedule, and getting a little momentum going for yourself. You have to take advantage, especially when you struggled, and an opportunity has really handed itself to you right here, the way the schedule comes out, the basketball gods, the way it all works out. This is a great opportunity for the Indians to maybe reboot the start of their season to some of the fan base.
Yeah, and you use a good word there, reboot, because I think that happens maybe sometimes more than what we realize. I think it happens often for players. I don't know that it necessarily happens for teams, but this is a good opportunity where the Indians really can reboot. I feel like the Indians are trying to reboot TJ House right now. I'm not sure how hurt he was or wasn't, but how much did he just need a 15-day breather to, reset his mechanics, go on a quick, rehab assignment? And I think going to AAA, I heard you talk, with JK, you kind of made it sound like had Sean Markham not necessarily pitched so well that TJ House would have been back. I don't think he would have been. I think he was going to AAA almost no matter what for the short term, because I think he kind of needs that reset and to work his way back. And in some ways, I think this entire team is kind of getting a reset in the fact that their offense is playing as they win. This is crazy how when you score runs, you start to win games. Someone might want to write that down somewhere, but this kind of like reinvented lineup of theirs, since they've struggled, they've really kind of started to score runs now with this new lineup. And as crazy as it sounds, I don't think it's so much getting Kipnis to the leadoff spot and Santana to the second spot as much as it is, I think, getting guys like Nick Swisher into somewhere in the middle of the order and getting them going, and Ryan Rayburn continuing to be productive, and Michael Bourne showing some signs of life at the bottom of the order. And when you put that all together, then I don't think it's so much just about the guys at the top. Then you have a chance to score runs anywhere through the order. And when you bring Jan Gomes back, I think that only makes that lineup, stronger for sure. And you're essentially getting a bad bat out and putting a good bat in when you when you take out Roberto Perez and add in Yan Gomes. So, hopefully it keeps going. And I think, the word that you used, the reboot, if they're going to go on a run, this is the kind of reboot that they need.
Absolutely. You made me think of something there at the end, talking about Gomes. Dan Wismar and I were bouncing this around, and I said I was going to remind myself to bring it up with you. A question, with Gomes comes I'm just curious, because Dan made a good point. When you look at Brett Hayes and Roberto Perez, is it just a foregone conclusion that Hayes goes back down, or do they perhaps want Perez to get his head together and play every day, and maybe he's the one that goes down? What do you think happens there? I thought it was an interesting question that he brought up.
I think it's probable that Roberto Perez stays around.
Okay.
But if they feel, and I guess maybe this is something that we don't know, if Roberto Perez is lacking some confidence, if he needs a pick-me-up and needs some kind of reset of his own, then maybe he does go to AAA. But my guess would be that he stays. And the biggest reason that I think he stays is because, and I think we're all guilty of doing this sometimes, we see young players and we always assume that they're always going to keep growing. I think Roberto Perez is what he is. He's a major league backup catcher. And when you play a day or two a week, you can be a little bit of a spark, and you look at what his numbers were in the second half of last season, and that's what he was. When he came in for a day or two and gave Yan Gomes a breather, I think he provided a nice little spark to the offense and kind of, kept things moving. I think if you ever are counting on Roberto Perez every day, like the Indians have for the last 6 weeks, you're going to get the Roberto Perez that they have for the last 6 weeks. And I think it's natural for us to see young players and assume that they always have continued room to grow. And I think that's sometimes unfair. And when it comes to Roberto Perez, I just think that's what he is. That's what his big league role is. He's a backup catcher. And there's nothing wrong with that. I won't be surprised if he stays, and you can draw a line from Yan Gomes' return and look at what his numbers are for the rest of the year, and don't be surprised if they pick back up, because when he's playing on an every a once a series or twice a week basis, he's going to be a lot more productive.
A lot better. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just the law of averages, of course. The more something's exposed, the more it's exposed. Mike Brandenberry, what are you guys working on? Did the Tribe win last night this week?
Well, we got our Memorial Day coverage, and we look back at a number of our former Indians over history and their contributions to war, and especially with the opening of the Bob Feller exhibit. I think he's probably the most famous Indian and veteran that the organization has. So we'll take a nice little look at him this weekend, and despite my continued lack of optimism, we're hoping for some good baseball in the next week or so. And, hopefully Yan Gomes comes back and continues that reboot. And maybe someday soon, Francisco Lindor will be able to solve some of the litany of things that Chris Antonetti has said that he has to work on, and he'll be allowed to play at the big league level too.
Mike Brandenberg. You know what I hope? I hope they run off 10 of 14 by the time we talk again, so then I can just keep this going. And you're like,
you're not having me on for like another year?
I know he's going to do it again. So that's what I'm hoping for. Well, the opportunity's there. Will they take advantage of it? It's up to them. But, the Reds are scuffling.
Absolutely.
They've lost.
There's no doubt about it.
5 in a row now for the Reds coming in here, and Texas has had their struggles all season long, and so they definitely should. We should be somewhere around 9 or 10 out of 14. There, you know what I mean? We should be somewhere in that
and
area.
I would say too, Jerry, and all kidding aside, and if anybody thinks I'm too negative, that's okay, and if in my opinion you're too positive, and I don't mean you specifically.
I am positive. We balance each other out.
Oh, for sure. I think this, we're too, early is over. We're to the quarter pole, just about. We're to Memorial Day. But I think, no matter where you come out, if you're a little too negative or if you're a little too optimistic, I really think, the Indians' schedule does get easier. They are getting healthier. Their starting pitching seems to really be settling into a groove. With all of those things in mind, I think this is a very, very, very important stretch from Memorial Day to the 4th of July. Because if they're going to get back in it, if they're going to push this front office to make a move, to give them any kind of support or help for the second half of the season, this roster right now has to give them reason to make a push. Because if you continue to dawdle in mediocrity, you're not going to go and give away the farm to bring in one player to help. That's just not the Indian way. Even if you think they should, they're just not going to. So I think this is a very, very important, 6-8 weeks. Kind of, again, you called it the reboot, but if they can reboot and play like the team that they thought they were in spring training, they can make people like me look like they've hit the panic button too early. And if they don't, then when we get to the 4th of July, we're going to be talking, now what? Because they're going to be out of it.
Mike Brandenberry, I'm with you. Let's see where we're at 1 week from today. Did the Tribe win last night.com is the website. Mike Brandenberry is his name. He's here every week on the show. Mike, enjoy your holiday, your weekend, your Indians, your Cavs, all those good things that are going on.
Sounds good, my man. Hopefully by the time we talk, we can either talk about wrapping up the Hawks or we can start talking about how in the world are we going to slow down Steph Curry.
Yeah, I hope that's the conversation. We'll see. We'll be there, close to it anyways, by the time we talk. Mike, enjoy it, and we'll catch up next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
You got it. My man, Mike Brandenberry. Did the Tribe win last night.com? Again, yes, they did. 3 days in a row. We're going to take a break. Final break of the week, of the day, all of that. Wrap it up when we come back here on the Sports Fix.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear is finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
It's the Sports Fix. We'll be right back.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Yeah.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious.
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD.
Kyrie split to D, goes inside, teardrops it home right down Euclid.
That's way up in there for two.
The excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials.
And now,
fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens.
Let's get it all!
And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger.
They sure are good.
Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious.
Hey there, eat up, y'all. You's as good church-going folk. Y'all deserve a little treat.
What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Hi, this is Dean Chenoweth, head coach of Cleveland's Lake Erie Monsters, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. J-Rocc back with you, wrapping it up, man, heading into this beautiful, hopefully wherever you are, it's lovely as well, holiday weekend, all kinds of things going on. You got the NBA playoffs. The Warriors lead their series with the Rockets 2-0. They'll have a Game 3 over the weekend, heading down to Houston now to see if they can get back on there and get one on the board. And the Cavs and the Hawks, Game 2, Game 3 over the weekend. A little bit in Atlanta, a little bit back up here in Cleveland. We'll see where they are when we come back. Don't forget, we're not here Monday, obviously, the holiday. We're back here live Tuesday like everybody else, and we'll talk about that. Jeff Gorman will be here. We'll talk about the Indians weekend with him as they've got the Reds. In fact, I want to look through these pitching matchups here in just a minute. There's some great promotions. Good chance for you guys to get out there and see some baseball this weekend. Hopefully some good baseball, some winning baseball, all of that stuff. But you got the Cavs and Sunday, the double shot there with both games. Should be a crazy, fun atmosphere downtown here on Sunday this weekend. But looking at the Indians and what they've got going on this weekend, for those of you guys heading down there or maybe making some plans to head down there, you've got the Tribe and the Reds in the first game, of course, kicking things off Friday evening tonight. You got 7:10 first pitch. Mike Leake and Carlos Carrasco. Carlos Carrasco taking the bump for the Tribe. You've got Corey Kluber back on the mound after his 30 strikeouts in his last two starts combined. He'll be out there Saturday. Trevor Bauer and Johnny Cueto is the matchup on Sunday. That one's an afternoon game, as we mentioned, 1:10 there. Last year, Tribe went 1-3 in the 4 against the Reds. Overall, they lead 45-44. Reds coming in with a 5-game losing streak. Last year, though, as I said, winning those 3 out of 4, they beat up on the Tribe 22-12. Indians coming in, we've talked about it a bit. They took 3 of 4, 3 in a row, 5 of 7 on the road trip, and looking to keep that thing going. You've got some promotions as well this weekend. There's the fireworks night tonight. Indians 74 Jersey Day is tomorrow, the Saturday game. That's the Bloody Mary jersey there. Tonight's Dollar Dogs and fireworks. Sunday, you got the Fun Day, the Running the Races, the Ohio Cup, all of that going on. Then you've got Texas coming in on the back end. Should be be a lot of fun for this holiday weekend, you guys. Whether you're watching the Tribe, the Western Conference, Eastern Conference finals, seeing what's going on, there's a lot for you to get into. There's hockey. There's all kinds of things. Everybody's getting out of school. My son's finished up their school year here today. Mike Brandenburg just wrapped up his school year here today as well, you guys. And yes, definitely, Charles in the chat room, great point. No drinking and driving, guys. It's so easy to find somebody else to be your designated driver for you. So do that, because the life you save may just be your own or somebody else's, because actually, if you're that stupid, I respect the other person's life more anyway. But keep it in check. Have some fun. There's going to be a lot to have. You want to be around to see. I'm just saying, you want to be around for the parade, right? Who wasted the last 40 or 50 years or however long it's been for nothing? You want to be there for the parade. Keep it safe through this weekend, and then the Cavs will do their part to get you that parade. Guys, I'm going to get out of here for the weekend, you guys. I got a lot to get into myself. Enjoy it. Have some fun. Be safe. Barbecue it up. Enjoy it. Tribe, Cavs, all the things you're into, hockey playoffs, whatever it is, do the thing. Gladiators in action as well. Come on back here Tuesday. Not only is Jeff Gorman in the house, but Dr. Football Bill Chickus making his final farewell appearance here on the Sports Fix as he says goodbye to the media business. He's going to make a stop here on his way out. So we'll have some fun. Get back. We're going to have a whole lot to talk about too. Have a couple of Cavs games here, a handful of Indians games, and more. So I'll see you guys back here after the break, live Tuesday, noon. Same bat time, same bat channel. You know the deal. Across the network. We'll see you live Tuesday at noon. Love you, Cleveland and beyond. There we go. Let's try that again. Love you, Cleveland and beyond. We'll see you Tuesday here on The Fix.
Any city that we visit, when the up from Cleveland, survival's a must on these streets. We hustle, don't sleep out here in Cleveland, Cleveland.
Okay, now here we go. Welcome to the Cleveland show, but this ain't no cartoon. Reality is all we know. Tuning in to Bravo, yeah, you hear me everywhere.